Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill from the House of Representatives for concurrence. The bill was read for the first time in this annual chamber on April 16, 2016. Essentially, the bill seeks to amend the Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria Establishment Act number 11 of 2002 that created the council. The broad objective of the act are as follows. 1. Set standards of skills and knowledge to be gained to practice environmental health in Nigeria. Conducting examination in the profession and awarding certificates or diplomas to successful candidates as appropriate. And securing and maintaining a register of persons qualified to practice the environmental health profession in Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Act states that the responsibility of the Council is to register environmental health officers and regulate the practice of the profession of environmental health. This brings us to the question of what really constitutes the practice of the profession of environmental health. The World Health Organization explains the concept of the environmental health as follows. Environmental health addresses all the physical, chemical, and biological factors external to a person and all the related factors impacting behaviors. It encompasses the assessment and control of those environmental factors that can potentially affect health. It is targeted towards preventing disease and creating health supportive environment. This explanation excludes behavior not related to environment, as well as behavior related to the social and cultural environment and genetics. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, strengthening the regulation of the environmental health profession, as can be seen above, would bridge that gap between health and environmental factors causing disease in population and further consolidate the preventive health services, giving the nation enormous savings from our national health care bill. Over the years, it has been observed by the Council and other keen observers that the efforts of the Council and the practitioners it regulates are weakened by remaining gap in the lack of basic sanitation infrastructure in almost all parts of the country. There is equally little private sector participation despite the huge potential for job creation and employment generation in a fully functional environmental health sector. The result of these observed lapses are noticed in solid and liquid waste, which are painstakingly removed from household, communities and urban centers, but are dumped into water bodies, on highways and arable land, with disastrous consequences in health, economy and aesthetics. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it could be categorically stated that basic infrastructure to support sanitation in the country, such as sanitary landfill, waste treatment plants, sewage systems, are not widespread, but only limited to the Federal Capital Territory, Maitama, Wuse, and Asokoro, are not being nationally planned for. The effect of non-existing sanitation support infrastructure is felt in the prevailing ugly picture of preventable diseases like cholera, typhoid, pneumoniasis, infantile diarrhea, Lassa fever, etc., which from time to time ravage some parts of the country. There is the need, therefore, to broaden the mandate of the Council in this very important field of environmental health profession. This will enable the Council play the role in the environment environmental health similar to what the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, or Council of Regulation of Engineers, COREN, is doing in the profession of medicine, pharmacy, or engineering in Nigeria. Furthermore, there is a need to develop capacity in this profession, with the number of these professionals already being less than 8,000 persons, when a minimum of 23,000 persons are needed in the country, according to the World Health Organization established ratio of 1 to 8,000 environmental health officers against the population. There is strong justification for this amendment to broaden the scope of the Act to create more jobs to our teaming graduates through their professionalization by registration with the Council. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill, when passed, will give the Council a clear mandate to regulate and control the practice of environmental health profession by, among other things, set professional environment health standards and work with other stakeholders to ensure the enforcement and compliance with such standards. Ensure that training of professionals is continued, as environmental health is a very dynamic profession that needs its practitioners to be continually informed about the profession. The bill has also increased the membership of the Council established by the Act to include a representative of the Nigerian Armed Forces, as in the case with many other similar professional regulatory councils, and ensure that the entire country has general representation for the sake of national equity. The bill also recognizes sub-professionals in the environmental health profession of environmental health assistants, environmental health technicians, and environmental health technologists. It also makes provision for their mobility from a lower register established by the Act to a higher register if such persons obtain an academic qualification or approved relevant educational qualification commensurate to the requirements of higher register he desires to transfer to. This ensures that practitioners aspire to move higher in the profession. Today, with the need for creation of jobs for our teeming youth, environmental health profession can help government meet this need using the vehicle of private sector, because this profession is labor intensive. We have therefore provided for the protection of corporate practitioners in the profession. This will ensure that they are protected in their professional practice, similar to what happens in other professions like law, medicine, pharmacy, and engineering, etc. This bill has equally ensured that both individual practitioners receive annual practice license and pay a prescribed fees to ensure that the Council increase her annual revenue and depend less on the government or her basic funding from the members. The bills give responsibility to training institutions where these cadre are trained to ensure that accurate figures and persons undergoing training are submitted to the Council as at when due, to ensure adequate planning by the Council, knowing the number of persons undergoing training. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the environmental health officer or sanitary inspector or health inspector, as we knew then when we were all growing up, are not easily seen on our streets again. This has made it difficult for the nation's preventive health to become as strong as it used to be. This bill is one more building block in our national effort to ensure the full rehabilitation of this profession and to make sure that the professionals are enabled to flourish once again to benefit our nation. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, this bill is from the House of Representatives, as I said earlier, for concurrence. In the spirit of interchamber relationship, I suggest that we refer this bill to the Committee of the Whole, while the Rules and Business Committee will prepare it for close-to-close consideration for speedy passage into law. I thank you very much for listening attentively and therefore solicit your support for the second reading of the bill. Thank you very much.
All right.